I'm Caesarina. It's been a while. Uh, this. Sorry, guys. Give me a moment. Let me fix this microphone thing for us. Okay. You don't have mic. Let's fix this mic. Able to hear me now. Greetings, everybody. Greetings, 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 greetings. This is Caesarina, and Paul. It's my pleasure to be with all of you tonight. I know it's been a while since I've, faced off with all of you, and it's been a while since I've come online and done anything. It's not because I have not been thinking about doing this. It's just life happens, work happens, a lot of business happens. But I really think I need to stop by and talk to you all a little bit about something that has been on my mind for quite a while. I've been pondering a lot about it. And I want to just share a little bit, you know, on it as far as concern. It concerns all of us. It's a matter that, oh boy, here we go. Accident. You know what they call this? The blurps, they call them, when you're doing a live or you're doing a recording and then you have all these mishaps. Well, that's me tonight there. Oh man, wow. Let's hope this cooperates. It's shifting my camera. All right. I'll try to look a little more uniform here. Oh boy, what a challenge. But anyway, I'll work on this. But I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about something that is troubling me. Troubling, I'm sure, not just me, but a number of you all who are very concerned. I think no matter who you are, no matter where you stand, let's say even on the political spectrum, wherever you stand, even in terms of your location geographically, where you live, no matter where you stand, I think that there is a concern. This is a matter that you, all of you, would be and will be and are probably concerned about, right? So I want to take some time out to talk a little bit about gun violence. Gun violence, yes. And I know that it is probably not an exciting subject, but I think it's a matter that we as a people need to not just talk about, but even look at strategies and develop policies and strategies, practical things that we can do as it pertains to curbing that level of violence that we have been seeing, not just in Dominica, but in our region. If you think about it, in the entire Caribbean region, there is great concern about gun violence. And some statistics are very, very shocking, if you ask me. The statistics that are existing right now are very shocking, very concerning. Now, you must understand that very often when gun violence is being discussed, and so certain matters like these in the world, often the Caribbean or small islands are sort of grouped together with what is called the Latin American and Caribbean. So it's usually the Caribbean and Latin America, and because of that, it makes it even worse. The statistics becomes a bit more graphic. The statistics become a little bit more concerning, if you ask me. And so I want to start off by saying that gun violence is not indigenous to Dominica, neither is it indigenous to the Caribbean region. And what do I mean by that? I'm simply saying that gun violence was not born in our region. Gun violence was not a thing that existed in our region by from start. Like it didn't start in the region. Its birth wasn't in the Caribbean region. Its birth wasn't in our island. It's not like we created it. So you know how we have people who are indigenous to us as a nation. Gun violence is not indigenous to us at all. And so that is one thing that we must bear in mind. It's something that has come down to our islands, come down to the Caribbean region, come down to where we live, where we reside. And there are many ways, many reasons, probably many things that contribute to how and why it has come down to our region, or why it has arrived, or why guns even arrive in our region. Clearly, we all know that Dominica does not produce guns. Barbados, Jamaica, you know, Guyana, Haiti. They don't make guns in those countries. We don't make guns, in our countries, in Turks and Caicos. We don't make guns in those countries. But guns arrive in our islands. They arrive in our small region. They arrive in those countries. And there are many reasons why guns make their way into our region. But this does not mean that because they make their way to our region that we created them. All right. So I must say that the statistics is very, very alarming and very concerning. Um, Lately, of course, we've heard about a number of gunshots in our own little island in Dominica, and we heard about in 1 week, how many times that people have been a bit afraid in the city and other parts because of gun violence. And this is not the norm. Let me establish this very earlier. This is not a norm in our country. Yes, we have had a number of cases of gun violence in various pockets of our island, but this is not an everyday occurrence, and we must, while it's trying to make itself an everyday occurrence, we must never allow it to become an everyday occurrence in our island and in our nation and in our region, because that is where we will have a serious problem. I dubbed this video that gun violence is an enemy to development. And I think that that's what it is. It is an enemy to the development of any nation, not just Dominica, but any island, any country. And I dare say that while there are a number of you could say issues or valuable of very sorry variables that contribute to a social problem. And in this case, while there may be a number of social problems that may serve as variables, as contributing factors to gun violence, this does not mean that it is an isolated problem. Neither does it mean that the nation um, is the only place where those things exist. Every country has a responsibility to its people. Every government has its responsibility to its people. But I think in our mindsets, if we only label, gun violence or pin it, you could say, on one set of people or on a government or on maybe a one set of, a grouping of people and just say, well, they are the ones and that's it. They are the cause. Then I think we might be also missing the opportunity to be objective and to explore on a broader level what are really contributing to a serious issue, a serious problem like gun violence. Now, I dare say too that gun violence does not discriminate. Guns do not have eyes. They are controlled by men and women who have eyes, but often these men and women are not even able to control them to ensure that the eyes that they use to try to point it to the target that they are seeking, that it will get to that particular target and not harm an innocent person in the process. And so that's what I mean when I say none of us is immune. None of us is protected, so to speak. We can be in the best of places and somebody has a malicious intent and we happen to be in crossfire, we can get harmed. Our loved ones, our closest friends, our family members, people that we care about, and even those that we may not even know could get harmed in the vicinity where we are. So nobody is immune. I don't think anybody is safe. And so that's why I think gun violence is something that has to be everybody's business. And to stay and point fingers at one set of people or one grouping, I think, is preventing us from looking at the broader picture. Mark you, everybody has a responsibility, and I think governments have their own responsibility to ensure that they do everything in their power to curb that kind of problem. But I also think that every citizen, every individual has a role to play in ensuring that gun violence does not erode the peace and the tranquility of our region, the peace and tranquility of our nations, the peace and tranquility of where we live, our communities. So, as I said, there is some staggering statistics Um, one excuse me, one source says that between 2018 and 2022, there was nearly 7,400 guns were recovered and traced in the Caribbean. Of those, over 5,300 of these came from the US, and most of these were handguns, though high powered weapons like AK 47s are increasingly common in our region. And I've heard that these things are not for it's not like handguns, they are actually made for war. The question is, why would we want those kinds of things to be even in the hands of our people? You know, why are these things even in the hands of our people who are not trained? And even if they are trained, what are we doing with them? We don't particularly need them, I think. And so it's something of great concern to all of us. Some of those guns are purchased legally in countries like the US where they are sold. Some of them are trafficked illegally across the sea, yes, and others are smuggled through illegal markets, hidden in everyday items like televisions, cereal boxes, or bags of rice and other ways. People are very creative now, and they try to find all sorts of means and ways for them to, to hide or to smuggle, guns, or smuggle these dangerous and deadly weapons. And it's not something that I think anybody should take for granted or should take for a joke. It's very, very serious. So there are lots of ways that people use to smuggle those things into our region. Now, one could ask, why is gun trafficking so profitable to some people? But prior to that, let me just say that the homicide rates in the Caribbean is said to be alarming. It's very high, nearly three times the global average across the region. That's crazy. In CARICOM, in our CARICOM nations, it is said that, and of course, the CARICOM has 21 countries with 15 member states and six associate members, stretching from the Bahamas in the north to Suriname and Guyana in the South American area, and Belize in Central America. And there we have, about 60 million people. And so you find that it's said that in the Caribbean, in the CARICOM nations, in these nations, firearms are involved in about 80%, 80% of all homicides. I mean, this is mad. 80%. How we have guns like that, I don't know. But it's very alarming and very concerning. In Haiti, from October of 2024 to June of 2025, June, just last month, in nearly 5,000 lives were lost in gang and gun related violence. Now, that is of those that we know, those that are recorded, right? But one is too much. And when you hear 5,000 people lost through gun violence in one small island, in one island, I mean, it is not small, but you get the point that I'm making. In one island compared to the world, it's major. And that has displaced 1.3 million people. Gangs now control around 85% of Port-au-Prince. And how do they control Port-au-Prince? With guns, with ammunitions. In, I'm sure illegal. How they get it? That's a question that the people who have them can answer, and some of the people who supply those guns to them as well. These people can answer how they get them to the gangs in Haiti. The concern is, we all know Haiti is a major concern in many ways to the region and to CARICOM, but we ourselves, being a part of the region, we cannot just watch it and say, oh, that's Haiti. No, there is a Creole expression that says, le kai kamawadu ka pui di fe. So I'm not too perfect with the Creole, but it say, le kai kamawadu ka pui di fe. Pueblo Everuse Sao, or Muye Sao, as we would say in Creole. When your neighbor's house or your friend's house or the person that you know, your friend's house is catching fire, when you see it catching fire, take water and wet yours, because yours is not immune to fire. So in essence, it's saying that if it's happening to Haiti, if it's happening to Jamaica, if it's happening to Guyana, if it's happening to Barbados, wherever, Trinidad and Tobago, it can happen to any other island. It can happen to any one of our nations. So no one is immune. No nation is safe from gun violence. And that's why I think personally one of the things that has to happen is to have a unified approach as far as how is CARICOM as a region going to address it. And CARICOM has made, as a matter of fact, has made efforts as a unit, as a body to talk about, and not just to talk about, but to find strategies and to liaise with the United States of America and other regions and other nations to curb the extent of guns that make it to our islands. But as we know, this is a continuous fight. It's not a thing that goes away overnight. It's something that will require quite a bit of effort on the part of everyone, on the part of all people. Even here in the Turks and Caicos experience, there is an experience of also a 121% rise in its homicide rate in 2024, and a recording of 48 murders, the highest per capita in the region. This is major again. I mean, the statistics is alarming in our region, our little islands, and these are not things that we should take for granted. Guns are in the hands of the wrong people, and many of them, I know many people feel very powerful when they have guns, very, very powerful. For some reason, they feel as if nothing can happen to them. They feel well protected until something happens to them. You know how the Bible says you live by the sword and you die by the sword? Well, I think a lot of people who live by the gun will die by the gun and are dying by the gun. And sometimes they don't want to believe it, but it's true. If we look at the culture, apart from the innocent bystanders and one or two people who are innocently being targeted, for the most part, we see like the majority are the people who have been involved in it. They killing each other, wiping out each other for various reasons, turf and other things. Excuse me, and other reasons like this. So these are not things to take for granted. Um, I think every parent should be concerned if they have a child. Every parent should be concerned because your child is not immune. Your child could become a victim, or your child could become the person who is perpetrating the act. No one, no one is immune. We as people living in society, we are not immune. We have to pray every day for protection, but at the same time, we have to ensure that we don't live in a wild, wild west where every time you step out of your house, there's a gunshot somewhere. We have to pray that this does not become the norm, but we don't just have to pray, we have to act and ensure that it doesn't become that. And I must say, kudos to all the governments in the region and all the agencies and organizations in the region, non-governmental as well as governmental, that are making a grand effort to continue to curb and fight against that ill in our region. It is said in Trinidad and Tobago saw about 623 homicides in the population of about 1.5 million in 2024, prompting a state of emergency at some point. Okay, I mean, our islands are definitely at risk, and this could affect development because imagine the people who you want to visit your countries are hearing, oh, this country is like wild, wild west. This country always has a war. This country always has a shooting. People are not going to want to come to our islands. They're not wanting to come to visit our nations or to come and invest, even not just visit, but invest for long term in our islands. If we have a situation where gun violence, and any sort of gang violence and those things are affecting our population to such max that it becomes a concern where, for example, countries, especially the international first world countries, they will start saying things like they will warn their citizens, don't go to these countries. If you go, you got your own risk and things of that sort. We do not want that in our region. And so I think we must all do what it takes to appeal to all and sundry to avoid us becoming places where people are afraid to visit, places where people do not want to even take time or spend time in our countries because they feel threatened, because they feel like their lives are at risk. We are generally known as a peaceful people, or some of our islands are known as places where people can come and just like a sanctuary, a place where they and a place of tranquility, where they can rest, where they can just unwind, where they can relax. And this is what we know our region to be. And unfortunately, gun violence does not lend us. It doesn't lend us that kind of comfort anymore. And so I think for you, for me, for all of us, it is an issue. Now, if top-notch leaders are using language that encourages people to think that it's cool to own a gun and to be called certain names that gun slingers and people who use guns are called. Obviously, that is not cool, and it is not encouraging these people to put the guns down and to avoid using those wicked weapons, if you ask me, because these are just what they're doing is wiping out a fellow human, wiping out a brother, a sister, wiping out a friend, wiping out the neighbor, wiping out an enemy. And it's sad because people, as we say, people no longer want to talk about what is separating them. People just want, oh, you're my enemy. I don't want to see you again. I'm going to wipe you out. But that is not what we are called to do. And so we see that gun violence is a bigger problem. It is not merely, oh, they have a beef and so, but what caused the beef and how is the beef being treated? How are they relating? How are they dealing with the beef for them to get to the point where they can say, look, there is another way we can deal with this problem. We don't need to wipe out each other. We don't need to destroy each other. We don't need to damage the other person. And so this is what I mean when I say that there is a greater problem behind the gun violence. You could say it is a symptom of a bigger problem. Am I holding the key to what that bigger problem is? I don't. I don't have all the answers, but I am convinced that there are a number of factors, a number of variables that contribute to that. All right, and some of them I have already mentioned: drug trafficking, gun violence, drug trafficking, people trying to get into and protect their turf for either for drugs, also for power, but there are other things, poverty in some cases where people do not have enough and they think that for them to get, they must channel a different path that is not allowing them to wait to receive money, but they will go the other way, the illegal way to make the money. And if there are things that are trying to prevent them, then they will use ammunition to try to block that so that they can have their way. I mean, there are lots of reasons why those things happen. But it takes a collective in order to address that problem of gun violence, which is, in fact, an enemy to the development of any country, of any nation, of any region. The people who provide guns to our population, the people who provide guns to our young people, do not love us. They do not love these young people either. They do not care about them. They use them for their own benefit. They don't care about these young people. And I wish these young men, particularly, and if there are young ladies who are involved in the quiet side, I wish if you hear this video, if you see this video, I just want to urge you to understand that the people who hand you these guns do not care about your life. So there is a need for even they need to see the value of life, like how important, how precious is a life. And if we understand how valuable life is, then we recognize, look, I didn't give this girl, this man, this boy, this child, this woman life. So who am I to try to take it from them? Who am I to try to rid them of that life that God has given to them? So the need to value life as a gift is something that is lacking among a grand proportion of our populations. Not only in Dominica, I'm not just saying Dominica, I'm saying our populations, even in the world. The places who feed our little region with those guns, a lot of the people who are doing it they don't value life. If they did, they would not make these wicked weapons available to the hands of unsuspecting in some cases and ignorant, meaning lack of knowledge, ignorant individuals to whom they hand those things, taking advantage of them and their lack of awareness. Gun violence is a major problem. It is not something to be dealt with in isolation. It is not one party problem. It is not a partisan problem. It is not a political problem by itself. It is a problem that is, in my view, very compound. It is compounded in the sense that there are various facets, and I think every person, every leader, every party, every religion, people of different faiths, beliefs, walks of life, people in society, leaders as well as non-leaders, the grassroots men and women, people must come together to address that situation, to reach the very people that we need to reach with the message. They too have something to say. They too can tell us why is it they resort to the guns. They feel maybe to protect themselves, but to protect themselves from what? And what has brought them to the place where they need protection? Can that be dealt with to avoid their wanting to be protected by the use of a gun? It's a big, and it sounds utopic, it sounds as if it's impossible, but the point is, let's get to the root of the problem. It is bigger than merely they have guns. Yes, they have guns. Why they have guns? How they got the guns? Okay, they have the guns. Why do they carry them? Why are they using them? There are lots of reasons. I'm not making excuses for these gun users or for these people who are choosing to shoot each other down. No way. I'm not making excuses for them. But I'm saying that if we really want to address this issue, we have to do it in a broad way. We can't do it in an isolated manner. And it's not for us to point fingers and blame this one and blame that one. At this point, I think importantly what we have to do is see how we as a people, how we as a nation, how we as a region, how we as a world can address this situation as a CARICOM and the other bodies in the world can address this situation, especially that affecting our small states. Okay, because we are not immune, as I said, we are very much at risk. So some key root causes, I've highlighted some of them. One of them is illicit firearm trafficking. It is said that roughly 73% of guns seized in the region between 2018 and 2022, they came from the United States, as I said, including handguns and high-powered rifles. There is also the issue of organized crimes. Yes, organized crimes and gang networks. The gangs are they are transnational, which is scary. Yeah, they often blend in drugs, arms, human smuggling, and extortion operations, with juvenile recruitment playing a major role. Yeah, so it's a big web, and it's an ugly web. It's not just one thing. There's a combination of factors, and so it takes law enforcement. It takes policies across the board. It takes unity and unism, a unified approach among regions, among governments, among leaders, among even the legal fraternities across and within regions to address those issues collectively so that this problem can be lessened. It's not a small problem, it's a huge one. And maybe we just think it's well, it happened today. And no, we shouldn't close our eyes to it. It's a major problem. Like I said some time ago, on a post that I saw, I remember when we had a serious situation where a number of our boys in our town were just shooting each other and killing each other, and I remember starting a simple initiative called Preserving Our Boys, and some people felt like, who am I to do that? Why is me that stepping up and saying, let's do something for our boys because I'm a lady, I shouldn't do that. And that was so stupid in my view. And that was coming from a man, sadly, who should have known better. But the point I'm making is it has been existing, but it's more frequent now and it's even more concerning. And when it starts leaving, the isolation, people used to do that in private, just try to hide to do that. But now people big and bold and proud, even in running inside of the city of Rosewood, other places, not caring who see them and so on, or going elsewhere and undercover and with masks and other things and harm people. No, nobody's safe. And so they bold face about it now. So it's something we have to tackle together in our societies. The idea is not to castigate the gunslingers, but the idea is to hopefully reach them into a place where we can say, guys, this is destroying you and it's destroying us. Can we? Because some people know who the people are who have guns. Some people do know. And some of them might say they won't talk because they don't want to be called a snitch, and so on and so forth. And so gunmen will kill snitches and so on. But you didn't give them life, you know? So It's a very complicated problem, to be honest. But it's something we have to talk about, and it's something we need to address, not as a single unit, but as a unified as a unified body, a unified approach, not as an individual solely. I mean, but together as people. It is a major problem, and unless we as a people step in, step in, and try our best to tackle this problem together, we won't see our way. We won't get to the place where we ought to get, which is to curb the problem. Instead, it will probably grow, which is will be very detrimental to all of us. We can have the best things in life in our nation. We can have the best roads, the greatest infrastructure, whatever they might be, the best schools, hospitals, etc. And our people are killing each other, then we have a problem. Can't sleep in peace. Your human resources your human resources at risk constantly. The health services are under enough pressure because we may not have the necessary equipment to accommodate, the frequency and the numbers of people who are harmed by at such major in such major ways with guns. It's a lot of pressure on a number of our sectors. Okay, so it is not a problem of isolation. Yes, government has to step in and do their part rightly. Yes, government has to take responsibility to a large extent if there is a way that they are not doing enough to address the problem. Yes, they have to look at the laws and see how lenient is it and how can we make the law a bit more tough so that people will be deterred to want to get involved in those crimes. And yes, we have to stop being the friends of them because maybe they are our supporters, so we do not want to get them to the law. I don't know if that's what's going on. It's ridiculous, and we have to ensure that we put our feet down. If somebody is supporting a party and the party is in government, they should love the party enough to recognize that if you do that, you're gonna hurt the party. So get yourself together. Nobody is above the law, as far as I know. Maybe just the president, if when they're in office, I don't know. But no one else is above the law. And so we shouldn't do what we want. We shouldn't try to curb the or break the law because we have friends in high places. And the friends in high places who might be hiding, protecting these perpetrators of the law need to stop. If we have to stop this problem, that is where it starts by making an example of these people and saying, no, you cannot do that, not because I'm your friend, you can break the law. It's just like a police officer having a sibling or a parent or a close relative or somebody they love who is breaking the law. The police took an oath to protect citizens and property and life, but they also took an oath to be impartial. So if we, who are relatives and friends of them, think that because they're in the room and they are our people, we can just break the law and they will not prosecute us, then we have a problem. And so the police is challenged and have to put his foot down and say, no, not because I'm your family that you can do what you want. And so I say, but I'm your, no, the law is the law. And it's the same thing as it pertains to our politicians and the people that you see and you know who have allegiance to your party, have allegiance to you. It is better to lose 50 supporters who are breaking the law and to save the country than to have 50 supporters who are breaking the law and destroy the growth and development of our nation in the long term. So I'm not saying that's what is happening, but I'm saying if it's happening, it should stop. That lawmakers, lawyers, prosecutors, whoever you all are, police officers, ministers of government, whoever we are in society, it's our role to ensure that we do not encourage these people, not necessarily directly, but by not calling them out when we ought to, when we have the chance to, by not bringing them before the law when we have the opportunity to. We are not helping the situation. We are not correcting them. We are not helping and fighting against the crime of gun violence that is affecting our countries and that is an enemy to the development of our lands. I could say plenty more on this. Obviously, it's a very broad topic, It's very big and it calls for more discourse. But my sociological background, as well as my social conscience, make me want to speak up a bit about it and to recognize for me and for all of us to recognize that it is not a problem in isolation. And it is not a thing that we should just bury our heads down in the sand and think, nah, it's okay, it's not my problem. No, it's our problem. It's all of us' problem. No one is safe, no one is immune. Everyone is at risk. It's like COVID. It's like COVID. Yeah, it's like COVID. Nobody is safe. No one is immune. Everyone is at risk. My prayer, my hope is that none of us will be a victim to gun violence. None of our loved ones will be a victim to gun violence. But often people only get serious about it when it affects them directly. We don't have to wait for that. But in truth and in fact, we know, all of us, the majority of us know at least one person who was shot or lost their life through gun violence. Anyway, could be in any part of our islands where you live. Or we know at least one gunslinger. I call them gunslingers, who is undercover. Meaning, when I say we know them, it means that we heard, we've seen them become, we've seen them prosecuted and gone to jail. So we know. So the point I'm making is nobody is immune. They're as close as us knowing who they are. So we're not safe in that way. My appeal to our young men, because and I say young men, not saying that women are not involved, because they possibly could be girls who have guns and or who help with the process of going to do the drive-bys and the shootings. We don't know. My appeal, especially to the young men, your life is so precious, so important. Your life, one earthly life, is held by a breath. Your life, that one earthly life that you and I have been given to by God, have been given by God, it's precious and it's not to be wasted. You need to make a decision as to whether you think it's worth risking everything for you to make a quick money or for you to get rid of your next partner, or whether it's worth putting down that apparatus, instrument, that instrument of murder. Bible said, thou shalt not kill. No, killing is not only through those things, but we know gun kills. Whether it's worth putting it down and tell yourself, I do not want to be a murderer. My life is precious, and so is the life of the next person. I know it might be risky, because if you belong to a gang and you say you want to get rid of it, you want to get out, fellas might try to cut you down. So it's a process you have to go through, even trying to get out and trying to convince your other boys that this is not the way for you all to go. It's dangerous. Now, if you've not gone into a gang and you have a gun and you're thinking about it, you should probably consider the fact that when you enter, everybody will like you. They will want you to do all these things, and you will feel as if you're a part of a body for a short time. But when the trouble starts and you want to get out, you may not be able to, because when you try, they will try to bump you out. So it's better not to enter the gang even before the fact. Your life is precious, young man, young lady. Our lives are precious. Your life is precious. It's valuable. You were made for more than this. Killing somebody is not going to make you better. You have to live with it on your conscience. And even if you are the only person who know that you killed the next person, it's there and you cannot take it out. It's irreplaceable. You cannot erase it. God knows it too. You cannot hide from him. The Bible says that nighttime is as bright as day to God. So it can be the darkest of night that you did it all by yourself. God saw it and it's written about you. And you have to face God. Even if the world, the parts of the world tell you what God you're talking about, you have to face Him and you have to tell Him why you did what you did. And if you don't repent genuinely, it won't be good for you either. Now, I know gun violence is not the only sin. There are lots of sins, but this is one. And many people hide behind it thinking, oh, they wouldn't know it's me who did that. God knows. Somebody usually know. They too might eventually challenge you about it. But God knows. Your conscience, your mind, it's written all over you. The person's innocent blood spill all over you. That's what's happening. Even if it doesn't touch you physically, their blood is on you and on your hands. Try to have clean hands. Clean hands. Pure heart. Ask God for pure heart and the grace to forgive. One of the reasons why people kill each other, they don't pray to forgive. Forgiveness is from God, and you can only do it through God. Hatred is a channel. Hatred is a trigger to gun violence. Unforgiveness is a trigger to gun violence. Bitterness is a trigger to gun violence. Yes, these are some maladies that are living inside of people. And if we're not careful, that's one of the reasons that will happen why some people go down that path. Nothing like forgiveness for the next boy who they say might have done them something or they pardon something. You kill my boy, you kill my girl. Dear friends, our lives are worth more. Your life is worth more. Your life is very valuable. Gun violence is not the answer. It can never be the answer. But it is a distraction. It is a destructive activity. And it definitely is an enemy to the development of our countries. It is an enemy of development of our region. All of us should be looking forward to a better nation. These negative news are not helping our nations. So we can build, we can do all sorts of great things. But if the news is constantly negative in context to, for example, such dangerous thing as gun violence, tourists getting shot, people who are innocent about their business came to do their jobs, that cannot be good. We're destroying our little islands when we do those things. And we're being selfish because it's all about me and my quick money and not thinking about the bigger picture. Your life is precious. Parents, if you know your sons, daughters are going down that road, please discourage them. I know some of you do discourage them. But some of you, ada disons, c'est souti ouais. All you supporting them. Zo ka sewe yo, zo konet yo ni fizi adida ka izon. Efe zo pa ka di anye. God sees and He knows. Gun violence is not the answer. It's not the answer. I will say that a few things can be done as it pertains to gun violence, and I've tried in between what I'm saying here to try to present a few suggestions, right, as to what I think can be done. On a broader scale, there are some other things. I don't think we can exhaust the strategies that can be employed to fight against gun violence. One of them, creating jobs and more educational opportunities for all people, especially young people. Creating, and not just, when I say jobs, not underemployment, but employment that is profitable to the young person. Profitable enough for them to see their way. And it's not just young people there, by the way, who are involved in gun violence. Let me establish that. I say young people because you know that's my heart. But it's not just young people. As a matter of fact, most of these young people don't get the guns by themselves. Say, Munki plivye paseyo kikabayo. Adults giving it to them. Yes, grown men and women probably giving those guns to those youth, right? But the creation of jobs is important, giving them skills and tools for success, long term, investing in that according to the trends of the world and how quickly they can utilize those skills for their own growth and development. Educational opportunities, we cannot exhaust that. That is so important. Like education open doors for everybody, if those who take it seriously. So creating educational opportunities, that's a key factor. Reforming the justice systems, because some of our justice systems, they're not ready. They give people a slap on the hand kind of treatment for very vicious crimes, and that cannot be good. And we also have those involved in the legal fraternity, some of them who are not honest, and they like the idea because they have to represent these people and make their big money. So they'll do everything to get them free for the next dollar. What is the value in that? Your value. What is your moral? Where is your social conscience if you're doing that as a legal person? Yes, you have a job to do. You have to defend people until they are people are not proven are innocent until proven guilty. We know that, but some of you know the truth, and you encourage it. You encourage the bad thing that they're doing by getting them off scot free, not letting them get a little bit of punishment for what they've done. There's need for reforming of the justice systems in some cases, not only for gun violence, for a number of things. Revisiting of our constitution in some cases, and of some of the acts and laws and chapters as it pertains to such crimes. We have to, and other such matters that affect our people. Addressing corruption, because let us be clear and square. Gun violence is brother and sister to corruption. Yes, wherever corruption exists, gun violence holding and shaking hand with it, because people trying to hide themselves and protect themselves for different reasons. Right? Corruption. Mhm. Whatever it is, whoever involved, they go hand in hand. And so there is need to address those things, whatever the sources of corruptions are in our little islands, in our regions, and deal with them. Because it is a deadly weapon that is being sharpened, you could say, if we don't curb them, if we don't curb that situation. Investing in at-risk youth and communities a bit more, not talk, not loving our young people only when we want their vote, not trying to win their attention only when we want them to go to the polls for us, and trying to, wine and dine them before an election, or when we want them to come and support us in some way. But investing in young people, especially the at-risk youth, in a way that is sustainable, not just the little short-term thing just to make them feel nice because election coming and we want to catch them. No, but to invest in them in such a way that they have long-term benefits from that investment. Excuse me, that they can stand on their own financially without depending on you and me and the system to make it. Young people deserve not patronization, or not, that is a word now, but it's not to patronize them. Young people deserve investment, life-giving, long-term, sustainable investment. so that they know that they are valuable, that their talents and skills can be harnessed and grow so that they in turn can have a brighter future. We have a responsibility to do that. We have a responsibility to do that. So I want to say kudos to all those, the agencies, the organizations, the various governments in the region who are making efforts to not just talk about gun violence, but to do practical things that develop their people, that build the human resource, that invest in young people, that understand that gun violence is an enemy to our development, and they do everything in their power to prevent its growth and its damage, its continued damage in our region. Granted, this is a big problem, as I said. It's not one that is in isolation, and it's not one that any one person or organization can solve by itself. And so I'm calling on all and sundry, wherever we are, to do our bits and pieces, to do our parts, to discourage gun violence in our nations, in our regions, in our communities, and to encourage development, to encourage growth, to encourage positivity, to encourage the development of skills that young people can use and grow, to encourage investment, tangible investment that are not merely short term but sustainable, long term, with long term results for young people. That we collectively put our heads together, our ideas together, develop strategies, and get on board with these young people. And these people, furthermore, the grassroots. Grassroots is important in that we can't leave them out. Leaving them out is a problem. Engaging them, even the guys who we know who are involved in gang. We may not know if they have guns, but they are susceptible to the gangs or they are at risk. Engaging them, involving them in dialogue, involving them in activities that will give them a different mindset, involving them in the developmental plan of our countries, that they too will recognize that they have a contribution to make and that they will make that contribution accordingly because we invest in them not merely for an opportunity to use them, but an opportunity rather to help them to grow. This is my hope and prayer. I know this was long, and I'm sorry to keep you so long, but I just thought I would take some time to talk about a crucial problem. Obviously, you too have your point of views about gun violence. I would love to hear it. As like I always say, if you come here and you share your views, I'm sharing from my heart and what I think to be authentic and as meaningful as possible. If you want to share your thoughts, feel free to do so. But I always say do it in a respectful manner. Do it in a way that is not disrespectful or rude. Do it in a way that we can have a dialogue. We may have different perspectives on some aspects of this, but I say feel free to share your thoughts, but let's do it in a respectful manner. At the end of the day, I believe you love your country, you love your nation, you love the young people, and you too would want to see the decrease or the complete eradication of something like gun violence in our societies. So God bless you. Thank you for viewing and listening. If you leave me a view, a thought, thank you very much for that. If you have not subscribed to my channel and you like what I talk about and you want to encourage me to continue to talk about social matters and things of such interests and importance, feel free to subscribe to my channel, share it, leave me a comment, as I said, and tell somebody else about it. Share the video. Let's have a dialogue about it. As I say, it's not here to castigate anybody or to judge the boys or to judge, no. I think their lives are so important and they have a contribution that they can make to our society. If we get them to channel to channel their energies in the right direction. And so we need these boys. And it's sad breaking. Every time we lose one, it's one less young man in our country who should have been contributing to its development. So I say to you, I say to me, we can't give up on them. So commendations to all those of you who are investing your time in the positive development of young people in different ways. Allow me to highlight people like or teams like the Aspirers Sports Club, from Portsmouth, all these guys who are just inspiring these young people into sports. Sports is a lifesaver. Um, who knows? Maybe if not 100%, maybe 80% of those who are now involved in those various athletic clubs, not just Aspirers, but we have all these different clubs in the Northeast and in Roseau, etc., and in other parts of the region, people who do sports, inspiring young people to use their gifts and talents and skills to that point. All these are positive things that can take young people away from the negative and into the positive. Maybe 80% of them can become professional athletes and do things like what Tia Lafoy is doing, and do things like what Juju from St. Lucia, Julian Alfred, and all these people are doing. But if we get down into gun violence, obviously we won't have that kind of success. So I wish all of us well. I wish our nations well. Once again, thank you all. Thank you very much for staying and listen. I did this live, obviously by myself. Maybe next time I will say, hey guys, I'll be live at this time, at that time. I'm just trying this out to see how it goes. But thank you all very much for viewing. God bless you. Come again. Remember to subscribe. If you want to help me grow, I would love your help in that way. Thank you. God bless you. See you around. Remember, your life is precious. You're valuable. There is nobody like you. And no matter what you're going through in life, remember to chin up. If you cry in your bed, when you wake up in the morning, look at the sun and say, thank you, Lord. Joy comes in the morning. I can face this day today. In Jesus' name. God bless you. Mhm. Oh, I'm still live. Oh, wow. All right, how do I end this again? I always struggle to end this. Let's go right here. Okay.